So we're going to start off with a quick just overview of StarShip, followed by an overview of ScanForce. We're going to touch on some things that we hit in our previous webinar, just related to the picking process, as this is related to shipping. Then we're going to give an overview of this new integration piece called Mobile Ship, and then show you guys what you're all waiting for is a demo of this, following it up with some questions and answer time. So I'm going to kick it over to Matt here to go over a quick overview on V Technologies and StarShip.
All right. Thanks, Steve, and thanks everyone for joining our webinar. We really do appreciate that. So again, my name is Matt St. John. I'm the Senior Sales Executive here at V Technologies. And real quick, just a little bit about V Tech as a company. We were actually founded in 1987. So been doing integrated shipping solutions for 36 years now. With V Tech, we do integrate with a dozen other ERP systems, but of course, working with Sage 100, we've actually been working with them for over 25 years now. And we're also located in Connecticut. We do have a few remote employees, but we're based out of Connecticut. And we do integrate with small parcel carriers, as you can see, with especially UPS. Actually, this past year in 2022, we were named actually a premier partner for UPS Ready, but also support carriers like FedEx, USPS, of course. Even customers located in Canada, we do support the Canadian type carriers like Canapar and Canadian Post, Purolator, so on and so forth. Now, Stephen, next slide, please. Okay, perfect, thank you. So really, again, a brief overview, kind of highlight overview of StarShip. So StarShip is going to allow your shippers to do things like live rate shopping. So we're integrating with multiple parcel carriers, as I mentioned. And really the main goal with StarShip, especially with this new enhancement with ScanForce, is to streamline that whole process. Making it easier, making shippers be able to just less clicks, few clicks here, and next thing you know, there are shipping documents, everything's printing out, is really what our goal is. And this is why we've been working with ScanForce to do a solution like Steve's going to present to you today. But also with StarShip, because we're doing those live integrations with those small parcel carriers, you're going to be able to set up StarShip to do things like best way shipping. So maybe we want StarShip to ping all the carriers that we're using and automatically select the least expensive carrier, or maybe the least amount of delivery days. So you can really take advantage of a lot of those rules, and especially which Steve's going to show you how this is all going to be automated. Just know behind the scenes, even using ScanForce and the new integration in our new API feature, we could still have StarShip do things like, automatically select the least expensive carrier. There's other things. I have some clients that have special fields inside of Sage that tell StarShip, and if this field is selected, change the service the second day. So again, on the StarShip end, a lot of different ways we can automate the whole selection of carriers. Also with StarShip, we can get into doing things like custom branded emails. So we include our own email solution where you can put your company information on an email, show things like item box detail, hyperlink tracking information. So a client's going to receive that email, and hopefully they're not going to end up having to call you just to find out where their shipments are at. Okay, so again, give that power to the customer. Let them track and have all that shipping information available to them right away. Now, also things like paperwork. If you're doing like international shipments, StarShip can generate other required international documents, hazmat documents. We fully support hazmat type shipping. Of course, StarShip's going to generate your shipping labels, your packing slips, and even packing slips we can customize. We have a lot of clients that ship for Home Depot, and Home Depot requires a special packing list. So with StarShip, we can even create those documents and set up rules so it knows, hey, it's an order for Home Depot, print this special packing list. But really, the main thing with StarShip is that deep integration to Sage 100. So with StarShip, as soon as we process that shipment, what StarShip's going to do is send back the shipping information back into Sage. So we'll update the actual Sage tables, like the tracking table. So now inside of Sage, I can actually see item to box detail. You're going to see, as Steve's going to show you, nice thing with the integration between ScanForce and StarShip is however you define that shipping data through the handheld device, that's how it's going to flow into the StarShip system. So really, as a brief overview, really want everyone to understand that StarShip's here to do that deep integration to Sage 100, and then of course streamline the whole shipping process as much as possible. And with that being said, I'm actually going to hand it back over to Steve, and he can take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. I know that that's a quick overview, but I thought it was a good one. Obviously, hitting on some of the highlights on why StarShip is the powerhouse in the industry that we all work in here. So appreciate that, Matt. I'm going to just do a similar overview of our company and our solutions here. So any of you that have attended our previous webinars, this is going to look familiar to you guys. It's just basically speaking to the fact that we do mobile programs that revolve around inventory control and leverage barcode scanning to capture that data. Our solutions are seamlessly integrated with the Sage 100 system. They're designed specifically for that. And we've been around for quite a while as well. We were founded back in 1992. The solution, as you see it today, was originally launched in 2007. Obviously, we have locations all across the country. And we have the next part there just speaks to how many installs that we have. So we've been, again, doing this for a while. We have a lot of people using the ScanForce solution. And the one highlighted in orange in that middle section there is kind of one of the highlights of our solution. We perfected the ability of a solution on a mobile device to work whether you're connected or disconnected. Now, this day and age, that doesn't tend to become such an issue because most companies have full coverage, and if they don't, it's easy to add that. But should you find yourself in a scenario where you need to perform a transaction-related inventory and you aren't connected to the network, ScanForce still performs and provides data validation and data lookups. The last port there just simply talks to some of our notable customers from FedEx to Shelby Cars, Airstream Trailers, it just listing out some of the companies leveraging our mobile platform. Now, we don't just do things as it relates to shipping. So we do have our WMS solutions that are broken down into 3 different versions there. Those do relate back to transactions such as receiving, inventory counts, transfers, and obviously the pick, pack, and ship. But we also have mobile sales, the ability to create orders, invoices, quotes, credit memos out in the field, printing or emailing invoices, capturing signatures, and so on. Label printing is a key component of this. Items that aren't barcoded, well, we have integrated label printing right within those mobile programs. The ability to create labels to look however you want them to look with whatever information is necessary and whatever style of barcodes, and automatically print those out, be it from receiving, manufacturing, or if you have shipping labels, not FedEx or UPS labels, but if you have custom labels that need to go on there for a customer. The last is manufacturing. That relates to the bill of materials automation, make to order, production management, and we still do support some people that are on the work order solution. So we have a wide breadth of solutions all centered around inventory control. Now, from a company standpoint, a few key things that set us apart from other companies out there in the WMS market. Our solution is fast. Time is money. When you're out there in the warehouse, you can't have a solution that sits there thinking and spinning as you're waiting for return scans as far as is it the right item lookups, things of that sort. So we did a 1 million record challenge, which we should probably at this point up this to like a 2 million record challenge because we did it quite a while ago. But still, our solution performs extremely fast. It's less than 300ths of a second to return a valid scan on the device. The solutions are also intuitive. We spend quite a bit of time when we develop new programs and we continue to improve our existing programs to make it easy to use. From the mobile standpoint, you can pretty much hand our scanners to anybody, and whether they have any experience with scanning or not, they can walk through and perform transactions. And the last point here is our support team. Support is necessary with any software solution. You'd like to think there won't be any issues, but there are. From setup to somebody changing something, or if you have an issue, our team is second to none. We have full support and development team, so we don't do anything outside of the ScanForce walls. We do it all in-house, so we're able to be extremely responsive to support needs or custom development needs. Now, I mentioned one of our previous webinars. Our last one, we've been doing a little bit of a series here on the picking of orders and now packing orders, and finally now the true shipping of orders. But let's do a quick review of some of the options when you do the picking. So, quick little definition review. When you're going to pick orders, we have that listed as SO picking on the device. That would be staging orders. Sage 100 doesn't have a great way, for those of you that aren't familiar with this, to actually stage an order. It's just a sales order, then it's an invoice. Well, we allow you to go ahead and stage that order, meaning pick those items and not have it create the invoice until you're ready to get it out the door, which would be checking and packing. So I'm checking my order and packing it up. Or you could do a one-step process, which we categorize as just sales order shipping. It's a one-step, get the order, get it out the door. There are some other methods of picking that I just want to touch on here. I'm not going to get into too great a detail, but split picking. You can separate one massive order into multiple pick sheets. If you have those large orders and you want to get them out right away, you can divide and conquer through the warehouse to pick orders. On the other hand, if you have a bunch of orders that simply just have a few items and you want to group those together, that's wave picking. Group it together, go pick a bunch of orders all at one time. The last one I'm going to touch on here, and there's another slide that relates to this here as well, but it's directed picking. So this is key and one of the main components that companies look to use the scanner out there for, that pick, pack, ship process. It tells you where to go. So instead of having somebody look at a device and have to guess what item they need to go get or do any kind of lookup, it displays that for you, which you'll see as part of the demo here in a minute. But it tells you where to go and what to get. And it's driven by the pre-allocations that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. So let's talk about pre-allocations. With the multi-bin component of ScanForce WMS, you have the ability to allocate what location you want items to come from. And you can do that as a pre-allocation, meaning before you go actually get the order. So the pre-allocations are driven by a number of different options. You can have it pre-allocate based on a primary bin location. If you're tracking lot or serial numbers, you can have it pre-allocate based on the date of the lot number, for example. You can even do things with certain quantities. If you deal with case pack quantities, you can have it go to case pack bins first and then to overflow bins. And when that happens, when that pre-allocation is triggered, can be done in several different places as it's listed here. When you create the order, it could do that. That does reserve items and the quantities from a specific bin. So some people don't want to do it right when that order is created because another more important order may come in after that. So we also like to do it at the time of picking sheet printing. So that would be indicating I want this order to go out. You can just do a print preview and it would automatically allocate those. Another option would be at the time of doing a receipt of goods. It can look to the orders and then pre-allocate based on items that are now in stock available to fulfill those orders. Last one, most commonly used, is triggering the pre-allocation from the scanner. So if I have a list of orders I need to go pick, nothing's pre-allocated until I indicate what order it is I'm going to go pick. It'll go trigger those pre-allocations now, so it reserves those and tells me where to go. Now, let's start talking about why we're all here today. So the mobile ship solution that we've developed with StarShip. So we obviously now have our integration. So what this does is it actually closes that loop in terms of I've picked and packed my order up, but now I need to actually ship it out. So we have the ability on the mobile device to have the details of those packages automatically populated. When you're doing the picking or packing here on the scanner, you're indicating what items are grouped together by that package or box then. Matt hit on this earlier, but all shipping details are handled by StarShip. So you're not maintaining two different sets of shipping details. It's all maintained in StarShip, and then it's triggered the printing of those labels from the mobile program. Now, I want to take a step back here, and let's talk about how this would work without this integration piece, because we've always had joint customers that are using ScanForce and StarShip together. So we have two methods here that you would have to use based on which version of our WMS you have. So the first one I have here is our fundamentals or our base version here. The key component that's different from our other version I'll touch on here is there is no staging. This is that one-step process here where I have a sales order. Now I'm going to go into ScanForce sales order shipping. It then populates shipping data entry back in Sage. So in this scenario here, I would have to go back to a PC now, pull up shipping data entry, and then launch StarShip from there. Another method, if you're using our advanced or premium solution that allows you to go ahead and do that staging process, is outlined as we have here. Quick difference, just for edification purposes, the advanced version or middle version of our WMS does not have the multi-bin capabilities. Premium does, but that process, if you're going to stage orders, would be the same here. You have your order. I'm going to pick it now. It stages it. Then I'm going to have, and this could be a different person even, or on a different day, someone's going to get that order out the door, and that's that checking and packing. Same result as I just mentioned on that previous slide, goes into shipping data entry. You have to go to that PC, complete your process, then launch some StarShip, and then go to the printer and grab the labels. A couple of important details now, because we're going to streamline that process that I just mentioned there. I want to hit on a couple of details related to this before I show you the demo. So there are some requirements. You obviously have to have one of our modules, okay? You have to have fundamentals, advanced, or premium. And this only works with the StarShip cloud version. It does not require our labeling piece. So I mentioned labeling at the very beginning. That is not a requirement. So if your items are already barcoded and you're just printing out shipping labels, there is no ScanForce label printing that is required there. From a pricing standpoint, how it's sold through ScanForce. So this is an add-on to our WMS solution that you would purchase from us. It is subscription only, and it's priced out at only $1,800 per year. The reason that we've developed this is we wanted to eliminate that need to have to go back to a PC and then obviously walk on over to a printer and grab the labels. We want to streamline this process. Very simple in concept. There's a lot that goes into that, but you're going to see how easy this is here in a minute. So you're able to complete that whole process right from the mobile device. So no longer, again, are you walking all over the place. The time savings is going to be huge by not having to do all of that. So you're automatically getting your labels, shipping documents, and packing lists. Now let's get into the demo, what everybody wants to see. So let me get out of this. Let me pull up my Sage system here in the background. And for anybody that hasn't seen a demo of ScanForce, what I just moved around here on the screen is an emulation of what the app would look like if it's on a device. ScanForce works on iOS and Android devices. Most often people are using Android devices that are the mobile computers, most often manufactured by Zebra, that have the built-in scanners. There are a whole list of different devices that are options out there, from long-range scanning to devices that are super rugged to be designed to use in really rough environments, to some pretty basic devices as well. But the app looks the same. When you launch ScanForce, you're going to have a user login. This doesn't take up user licensing at all. This just allows us to control permissions on who's doing what in the app, as well as there is a traceability down to the details of who did what on the scanners. It can be password protected, and my company is right there. I'm going to navigate with a mouse. I will comment, when you're using this on a device, you're going to be tapping on the screen and scanning barcodes. But bear with me for demo purposes here. I'm going to navigate with the mouse. I'm going to tap accept. So here is our main screen. So I have inventory, transactions, and utilities, and then we have categorized under order processing, receiving, but we're not going to talk about that today. We have our picking. This is what I mentioned earlier in those slides. There's the staging and then checking and packing, or the one-step process. For the sake of a demo, and because it's pretty repetitive, I'm not going to do a staging of an order only to simply check and pack it immediately. So I'm just going to do this one-step process. I already have an order back in my Sage system. This is the multi-bin environment, so it has the pre-allocations already done. I'm going to launch sales order shipping. It's going to prompt me for the order. A lot of our customers still print off a picking sheet that does have a barcode for the order number. You can simply scan that if you want. You can do a lookup. It's going to read the data real time back in your Sage system. You can search for a customer or an order number. I'm going to scroll on down to the bottom and grab the last one I have here. When I hit accept, it actually grabs that data from Sage, placing it locally on the device. That's one of that key component that I mentioned earlier about being able to function in and out of connectivity. The data is on the device, so if I lose my connection, I could still pick this order. Now, there's a little bit of information that's on here. So at the top, I have package, okay? It defaults to package 1. This little plus button here allows me to increase package, and the scale is where you enter the shipping details. So first things, I'm going to grab my item. Now, on the order, I can pull this up. You'll see this back in shipping date entry, and I'm done. But this item 6655 was the first item that was listed on the sales order. But because of the bin allocations and the directed picking, it sorts it so I can walk in an efficient manner through my warehouse, grabbing my items as I come to those bins. So I'm going to grab my first item here. Again, you'd want to scan this typically, and it would validate that for me instantly. Grab my first item. It's going to package 1. Confirm my bin location. Indicate my quantity. It would yell at me if I did put the wrong quantity in as well. And you'll see that drops off now as I've picked that. So I put all that item in one box. So now I'm done. I'm going to hit my shipping details here. Back on the order, UPS was the shipper for this. So it knows that UPS is who the shipper is. It's package 1. I would weigh it, indicate my weight. I select the package type that is maintained in StarShip here. I'll grab my first package. The dimensions automatically populate. If I did need to change this, we can allow that right from the device. I'll hit accept. I'm done with that package. Move on to my next package. Grab my next item. This could go into multiple packages. You can have multiple items in one package as well. Just for demo purposes, I'm kind of keeping this simple here. We'll confirm our bin, confirm my quantity. Now grab the shipping details for that package. You'll see it's on package 2. Let's say my weight is 20. We'll grab the second box here, but it's filtering this, by the way, down to just UPS packages. So it knows that based on the order. Once again, populates the dimensions. Now I'm done. I go ahead and send my data back over. If I'm not connected, it's going to tell me that. If I wanted to see some package details, I could click on this and see the package details as well. Our standard solutions also have collected data detail, but I'm going to go ahead and send my data over now. So now it's connecting up, and it's going to take care of all of that shipping process for me in the background. So send it back over. It's creating the shipping data entry transaction, and it's also now kicking into StarShip. Matt, I don't know if you want to comment really quickly and just kind of review what's happening in the background there, what StarShip's doing to get those labels out, and then I'll pull up my other screens here.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect, Steve. So now at this time, of course, what StarShip is doing is pulling all that data, as Steve showed you, however you define it through the handheld device. So it's updating, hey, it's this certain package, dimensions, weights. Like I said, in this case, Steve did just UPS, but if you have multiple small parcel carriers, we can even set up StarShip to, rate shop, select the best way or least expensive carrier. And then after that, after it does the rate shopping, again, that's when StarShip then is going to trigger to generate any of those required shipping documents.
Perfect. And I just pulled this up in the background, and what it did, and I refreshed it, as you all saw there. Here's that order number that we just did. Here's the information for this. So you'll see it made it to StarShip then. Here are the details. Here's the tracking information. And then here's the rest of the details for the shipment as well. So what happened in the background, I don't have a printer to show you guys. It printed off the labels. That's basically what this just did here. So if I go here and I print this off, this is the package information, the shipping documents that were automatically created. So once again, it connects up, sends it back. Here is what, I don't know why my Adobe gives me that, but this is the sample label that prints off, but it's for that order. So there's, this is where the barcode would print off your standard label, and it's all automatic. You don't have to go back to PC. You don't have to do anything. From the person that's actually doing this on the device, they carry on their day. They're shipping additional orders, doing other transactions. They're done. Now, I'm going to go ahead and close out my PDF and get back into my Sage system here. And when I go into shipping data entry now, let me grab my batch. It popped up on a different screen here. And we'll grab the order that just came through. Here's the order. And when I go into shipping, you'll see back over here. Well, let me back up. So here's the tracking numbers. Again, they're demo tracking numbers, but it wrote those back automatically to my Sage system. So I have all that back in Sage without doing anything else. And it did populate the weight and the freight amount as well. So that's a complete process. Again, keeping it very simple, keeping it all in the hands of the people that are actually shipping out these orders without forcing anybody to go back to a PC, then run over to a printer and get that done. Boom, you do it right from the scanner, get to the printer, label your items. All right, now we're going to open it up for some Q&A here. Darcy, if you don't mind looking to see anybody that has questions, please submit your questions then. We have about 5 minutes left here to go ahead and answer any questions anyone has.
We do have some questions coming in, so quite a few actually. So the first question is, does ScanForce integration require additional StarShip licenses?
It wouldn't be any additional. Matt, you can speak to that a little bit more, but it's going to handle the packaging the way that you guys already do right now. This is just going to trigger that back over in your StarShip system.
Exactly. I was going to say the same, Steve. I mean, if you already have a license for ScanForce, it's just using that same license for the users.
All right. Can you connect a scale to enter weight?
So at this time, we do not have an integration from the mobile device, but that is in plans for future releases. So stay tuned for that.
Okay. Can we split a single line into multiple boxes?
Yes, you can. So I did mention it in the way of putting multiple items into one package, but yeah, you know, the example I had, the one item had 20, a quantity of 20, 10 could go in one, 10 could go in another. It doesn't matter.
All right, they're still coming in. Let's see, where are we? How would this work if we pick multiple items for an order, but don't know what package or how many until they are all picked?
Is that just, I guess, would that be, how do you know what label to put on what package kind of thing? I don't know if someone wants to clarify that. Or Darcy, if that's your
question.
You don't want to, yeah, I was going to say, or they don't want to process the shipment, generate labels. So almost like they want to stage it.
So we do have that, by the way. So if you want to stage and then actually have the items, we have a methodology to do that where you can actually package by or items together in packages at that staging step. You don't have to do that. So there are methods to do that, but you'd be using our WMS Advanced or Premium that gives you that ability to stage orders.
Okay, does the ScanForce, by the way, guys, we'll reach out to everybody who asked questions and make sure that you felt like you got your answers. How does the ScanForce user entering the package info put the label onto the boxes?
Well, the labels print off when you're done and you just retrieve them. So typically a printer is strategically placed where you're going to be finishing up the packaging part of this. But yeah, you would go ahead and capture that information and tap a button and you're eliminating that going to a PC in multiple steps. It would just go right to the printer.
All right. Does this also print pack lists?
Yeah, all the documents that would print out typically if you were at a PC completing the StarShip process would print out.
Are shipping packages able to be barcode scanned in?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I don't write them, I just read them. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. We'll reach out to you if you ask that one and make sure we get you answered. Did the shipping labels for that shipment just come out of the printer once the packer hit the send button?
Correct. Yeah, it sends it back and is triggered once it reaches Sage. There's a couple of reasons for that. The main one is we do have customers that use our solution that sometimes pack up items and have to cancel out and repackage things. So it's not until you're done, you send it back, and then it triggers the labels to print.
All right, can the dimensions and weights be pulled from the IM table for part numbers with a unit of measure of a case?
So Matt, I'll let you kind of handle that one because we're pulling it from StarShip, the package details. So I'll let you handle that one, Matt.
Yeah, so with the package details, as Steve kind of showed you there, that drop down that he had, those are actually packages you can set up inside a StarShip. And once, of course, they're configured, you can also include the dimensions. So, you know, hey, this is going in a medium-sized box. And then, of course, inside StarShip, it's going to know, yep, we selected medium and automatically populate those dimensions.
All righty. Does this work with LTL freight and how?
At this moment, it is not configured to work with that, but that's in that quick follow-up phase 2. So if somebody does need that, which we anticipate people will, this question kind of hits on that, obviously. Whoever's asking that, Darcy, you mentioned we have the details on that. We'll follow up, or you're more than welcome to follow up with us, but it does not out of the box as it stands right now, but that's definitely in the plans.
Okay, and we've got quite a few left. So I'm just going to cherry pick a few of them that I think a lot of people might want to know, and then we'll reach out to you individually for everyone else. Will this trigger a packing list from Sage?
So we have that option that it'll trigger the packing list printing when it creates the shipping data entry transaction. So if you want the standard Sage packing list, yeah, that's an option to turn on.
Yeah. Yeah, and with StarShip, you can set up scenarios when you want it to print a certain document or not. So.
All right, during multi-bin allocation, is StarShip able to be set to recognize if the allocation has happened?
Yeah.
How many Zebra label printers can be connected to this solution at once, and how can we direct to a specific printer?
Great question. So pretty much unlimited. And StarShip, we have a connector. So that's what points StarShip to each of the printers. Most of them, most of the time they're on each individual workstations, but if they are networked, we can use that connector to point it to, the network printers. Inside StarShip, we also can set up printing profiles. So, hey, look at these printers, only print these documents. Most certainly, again, with StarShip, you can tell it when, where. Some clients, UPS, FedEx, hey, different size labels. So with StarShip, we can tell it where each of those documents get printed.
Okay, I'm just going to read two more, and then we'll have to reach out to everyone because we want to be respectful of the time that we set on this. Are the package dimensions able to be inputted with barcodes rather than selected by dropdown?
So
when I select the package type, I don't believe that field you can scan in that field. You just simply do from the dropdown. I mean, modifications are always possible. So if somebody has that need where that would make sense, I guess we could look into that. But no, not right off the bat. No, they're selected from that dropdown.
Okay, how are serial numbers handled?
So serial numbers are handled based on the mobile programs within our WMS solution. It knows the valuation method of the item, so it knows that it has to capture a serial number. And with those pre-allocations, what we do is we actually, if in serialization, we allocate by the bin location and then allow you to pick a serial number from within that bin, as opposed to having to pick and hunt through the entire shelving system there for that specific serial number. We allow you to pick from that bin. So it's all done on the mobile programs, and it's all validated based on your data that's in your Sage system.
And that could be pushed, that information could be pushed into StarShip, of course, and then if someone wants it like on a packing slips.
Okay, well, we have about 10 more questions, and some of them are pretty specific how-to questions. So I think we'll probably wrap up and just address those on a one-off basis. And we will be sending out the recording in the next couple days to everyone.
Yeah, and Darcy, on that note, then we'll review those ASAP and get back to everyone that has those questions within the day here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I thank everybody. Matt, thanks for joining me on this. We're very excited on our side as well. So I appreciate everybody attending this, and we'll follow up with you all.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Steve, and thank you, everyone, again.
Take care, everybody.